Hey guys, so I am going to talk to you about a single subject research design to investigate functional communication training, blocking, as well as running and their effects on elopement and stereotypic behavior in 3 children diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. Individuals with autism spectrum are likely to engage in eloping behaviors as well as stereotypical behaviors as a result of multiple functions. Elopement is defined as any instance where an individual moves more than 6 feet away from a designated area without permission. Children with ASD are likely to engage in elopement, which can lead a person to come into contact with potentially dangerous outcomes that may include running into the road, getting lost, or even drowning. Another common feature of individuals diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder include stereotypic behaviors. Motor stereotypies are repetitive, fixed, and non-functional patterns of movements, and they can interfere with an individual's normal activity. Prior research shows almost 30% of kids diagnosed with autism spectrum between the ages of 7 and 10 are eloping 8 times more than their unaffected brothers and sisters. Research on elopement explores function-based treatments that most often include blocking, direct reinforcement of other behavior, including functional communication training, and non-contingent reinforcement combined with other interventions. The majority of studies on elopement suggest it is maintained by social positive reinforcement. For example, it might be maintained by access to tangibles. In a study by Falcometa, they looked at treatment for elopement maintained by access to stereotypic door play. This study found that after a functional analysis, eloping behavior was maintained by variable stimuli, meaning multiple reinforcers were maintaining that behavior. Variable results have been found in other studies and suggest that behavior may be maintained by automatic reinforcement. Falcometa hypothesized elopement was maintained by multiple reinforcers, in this case, access to tangible in the form of automatic reinforcement, or stereotypy. In addition to Falcometa's findings, another study found non-contingent access to stimuli matched in sensory function to the preferred sensory reinforcer showed reduction in stereotypy and its frequency of occurrence. For example, an individual who engages in repetitive spinning of objects for the visual sensory feedback might be provided with non-contingent access to spin tops. To date, Falcometa's study is one of the only research studies on elopement maintained by access to stereotypy, which is why I'm conducting a study on the effects of functional communication training, blocking, and running on elopement maintained by access to stereotypy. Although there has been extensive research on function-based treatments and elopement, there is a lack of research to support treatments for elopement behavior that is maintained by access to stereotypy. Prior studies also lack a strong experimental design. This study is going to highlight potential treatment options for individuals who engage in elopement, as well as stereotypy, which can have significant negative impacts on individuals diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. Families of individuals who elope may be faced with constant fear and worry that their child may be in harm's way. This study will help reduce those fears in caregivers and give individuals the skills they need to lead an autonomous life. The purpose of my study is to evaluate 3 different treatment options for individuals who engage in elopement maintained by access to stereotypy. The study will share research on treatment that may help individuals who engage in this kind of behavior. So the study is a single case reversal or ABA design. And in the study, we will examine an 11-year-old boy, a 10-year-old boy, and a 7-year-old boy, all diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. Following a functional analysis, we conclude that eloping behavior is maintained by access to stereotypy in the form of gait behavior. In this study, stereotypic gait behavior is defined as any instance where the individual moves in a circular trajectory through the movement of his feet at a pace that exceeds normal walking speed. And this behavior is separate from elopement. So sessions were conducted in an elementary school located in 2 rooms, the gym and the classroom. Equipment and materials used for the experiment included clipboards, writing utensils, and data sheets for tracking the behavior. Personnel involved included 2 individuals, one who will run the session and take data, and the other who will also take data. This is to ensure we are collecting inter-observer agreement. We conducted a functional analysis which confirmed our hypothesis that elopement was maintained by access to stereotypic gait behavior. After the functional analysis, we started the ABA reversal design. Sessions were 10 minutes, 4 times a day. Following the ABA design, we began Phase A by collecting baseline data on the frequency of eloping behavior. Frequency was collected by marking how many times the individual engaged in eloping behavior. In this phase, the 3 participants were able to engage in elopement to access gait behavior and were not provided with any consequences. After engaging in elopement to access gait behavior, the individuals were guided back to their designated areas. Baseline data was collected over the course of 1 week. We then moved to the B phase in the ABA design and implemented treatment for 1 week. Again, sessions were 10 minutes, 4 times a day. We also added an additional 30 minutes a day for running. Running sessions were incorporated throughout the day into 3 10-minute sessions. Running was incorporated non-contingent on behavior as a means to match the sensory function of the individual's gait behavior. Blocking was incorporated when the child attempted to engage in eloping behavior. The individual was then immediately prompted to touch the functional communication card for "Run, please." Anytime the individual touched the card, the therapist would immediately deliver praise and say, "Sure, you can run now." This allowed the individual to ask for access to engage in gait behavior contingent upon functional communication. We collected frequency data on behavior during the B phase to see if there were any changes in eloping behavior, either an increase or a decrease. After removing treatment, we moved back into A phase to see if it returns to baseline. So my expected findings suggest that the dependent measures of elopement and stereotypic gait behavior will decrease by 75 to 80% when the individual's treatment consists of functional communication training, blocking, and running. Although stereotypic gait behaviors will not be completely eliminated, it will allow for caregivers to control when eloping behavior will occur, thus reducing the possibility of the individual getting hurt. This study provides potential treatment options that are easy and cost-effective and can improve an individual's quality of life and keep them out of harm's way.